Okay, so one of the benefits of Toon Boom Harmony is that there is a lot of options for ways that we can optimize and make animation more efficient. You know, the idea of the traditional animation of doing every drawing, doing 24 drawings for a second of animation. It's it's very nice to think about, but it's not always the most efficient way to get something done. And so I wanted to show you some of the reasons that Toon Boom Harmony is one of the most commonly used professional softwares in this, in 2D animation. So let's just start by building, I want to build a little box with a pendulum and a ball at the bottom. And I'm going to do this one drawing at a time. So I'm going to do a platform here. And under my color nodes, I'm going to use blue, but I'm going to change my blue to something like a little lighter. Yeah, looks good. And I'm going to go ahead and fill my box with blue, and I'll call this drawing layer platform. Now I want a little bit of an arm underneath here, multiple segments of an arm underneath here, and then maybe like a ball at the end. I'm going to go ahead and do another box, and I'm going to draw something like this. Again, I'll change that to black, and then we can fill that with blue. Ooh. Blue. And so now I have this arm here, but I made a mistake. I really wanted this on a new drawing layer. I didn't want it on the same drawing layer as the platform. So I'm just going to go ahead and click and make a new drawing, and I'll call this arm 1. I'll add that. I'll go ahead and add arm 2, arm 3, and ball. So I have all of these different drawing layers, nothing on them right now. And what I want to do is select this and hit Control X to cut it out of here, and just go ahead and paste that onto the arm 1 layer. Okay, so really I just drew that on the wrong layer. I was just moving it into here. And in fact, what I can then do is just hit Control C on this and paste it into each of these other layers, and actually just move it down. I can make sort of this sequence of arms. I'll probably make each of them just a little shorter. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and make that one just a little shorter too. I need to drag select all of it, so I'm getting both the line and the fill. And I can use the arrow keys if I need to move it up a little bit more. Control C, paste that in there, and move it down. And the final thing I want to do is just on my ball layer here, just going to hold Shift and make a little weight for the end of this. Again, I keep doing this, but let's do it that way. And then my paint bucket I will fill in with blue. And so now this is what I have. And actually, just to go back and make this a little bit more proportionally appealing, I'm going to go ahead and make this a little bit bigger. Something like that. Right. And what I would like to be able to do is make sort of a rig out of this. Now, we already learned that I can, extend these drawings further. So let's just go ahead and extend this out significantly more. Drag this to give us a little bit more time on our timeline. And then out here, I'm just going to hit F5. So I've extended my exposure of these all the way out to the end. And then I'm going to build a rig to allow us to manipulate this more easily. So with each of these drawings, you'll notice that I have a pivot point. And this is the first thing I need to think about, is where is this pivot point going to be? I'm going to move this pivot point to where I would most likely want to animate this object from. Right? If I wanted to rotate this, I would like it to rotate from there, not from over here. Right? And so that's where I would like my pivot point to be for that. And then for each of my arms, I want to put that kind of up at the top here, because, like I said, when I rotate it, I would like it to rotate it like this. Right? So I'll work down here. And actually, I could have probably edited this pivot point on one of them. That way, when I duplicated it, we could have done something like that, but this will work well. Okay. And then for the ball, I want the ball to look like it's attached, like right here. Okay. Now there's two ways of rigging this, or there's a couple of ways of rigging this, but this should work just like any parenting situation would in Maya. The ball would be a child of arm 3, so I could just drag this onto arm 3, and it becomes a child of arm 3. Arm 3 is a child of arm 2, and I'm just building this hierarchy down the chain, right? And what that means is now, if I grab the platform and rotate it, or move it, all of this stuff goes with it, right? And if I were to grab all of these layers and rotate them, they will rotate together. And so I can pretty quickly start making an animation of this. But I'm going to undo that before I've done that. I will say best practices in Toon Boom is to not set your keyframes directly on the drawing layers. And that's because it just gets a little cluttered, right? And so I can show you a way of doing that. But before we, a way of like cleaning this up and sort of making a control layer for each of these. Before we do that though, let's look at what we actually did in here. So in our node view, I want to make this a little bigger so we can see this. In our node view, if I organize this, you'll see that what I have, and the space bar allows me to move, is I have a couple of different ways that each of these are connected. So you'll see that we have this blue line that is going into the composite node. So blue in the node editor means it's related to its visibility. Green means it's related to its translation or its placement, right? And so this is both talking about the visual hierarchy of things and the control hierarchy of things. So let me show you what I'm talking about. If I were to grab arm 1 and move this above the platform, you'll see that arm 1, because it's below the platform in this layer, is behind the platform in visibility, right? It's not on top of it. But let's say I wanted it to be both controlled by the platform and in front of the platform. To do that, all I have to do is change where it's plugged into the composite node. So the further to screen left that this plugs into the composite node, the higher it is in visibility. And so if I move it this way and plug it in right in front of the platform, now it's above the platform, okay? So I can change where its visibility is, okay? Now so that's what all these blue lines represent. However, let's just go over here for a minute, move all, we'll leave it organized like it is, and look at just these green lines. So these green lines are how we control the, let me undo until that, move back where I want to. These green lines are showing this transformation control. The platform has a transformation control on the arm, right? And that's really what is going to control the way this is stacked up down here on the bottom. Because I could do the opposite of this, right? I could unplug that, and instead I could say, no, I want the arm to control the platform. And now the arm is on top, and this arm is what would control everything, right? And then if I move the platform is a child of the arm, right? And so this hierarchy of the green arrows is how we can build some really complicated characters. We could have, a torso with arms and legs and a head, right? All being controlled by these little green lines. So don't sweat this too much. Just know that this hierarchy is important. Now, if you do want this to be just a little cleaner, one of the things that a lot of people like to do is create a peg node above each of these, and that way the control isn't from drawing to drawing, the control is from peg node to peg node. And so I can do Control P while selecting the platform, and it creates this platform peg. And I can actually go through and unplug all of these here, and I'll show you. And that platform peg, again, we'll have to position its pivot point. And I'm just going to go down through here and do all of that. Control P. They each will get a peg node now. And you'll see what this means is this peg node is now a layer above our platform drawing. And this peg node is what would control the drawing's pivot point, or the drawing's rotation. Right? So I can get all of these where I want them to be. And then what I can do is go through and on all of these drawings and lock them. Now the reason we do that is because then I don't accidentally move the drawing. I don't accidentally change the drawing, right? It's like the drawing itself is kind of protected now. And if I want that hierarchy back for how the animation, for how a platform would control the platforms below it, I just drag this transformation. If you drag it from the top or from the bottom and into the top, this makes it a parent. So platform would then be a parent of child. Arm would be a parent of arm 2. Arm 2 is a parent of arm 3. Arm 3 is a parent of ball. And so now we have a control rig, and we can just set keyframes then. If I were to minimize this and hit F6 to set a keyframe and expand it down, you'll see that only the pegs get the keyframe, and then the drawing is untouched. And this would allow us to do stuff like, doing different drawings for a blink or for a mouth change on the drawing layer without affecting or having to worry about interfering with the keyframe on here.